In this video, I'm going to be telling you exactly why you'll never reach 100K a month. And I'm specifically going to give 4 reasons and 4 examples of when I've seen these things hold people back. And basically what I want you to take away from this video is just how deadly these things are. Like if you do these things, it's almost one of those things where you're just like, they're just never making it. They're just, not necessarily like it's over forever, but if you keep holding on to these things, it's very easy for someone to see you kind of just plateauing around that, below 100K a month mark for a significant amount of time. Because I have seen it happen. I've seen people stay there for years at 50K a month, 60K a month, and never break through to 100. Meanwhile, we've got clients that'll go from 6 to 60K a month to 100K a month in like 6 months or something, or 7 months. They go from 10K a month to 100K a month, and blasting through launches at like 200K a month out the gate. So it's a little bit different of a mindset between I'm going to completely blow past it to holy shit, I'm plateaued somewhere below. And probably if you are plateaued or you are below that level, it could be because of one of these reasons. Now, the first reason or the first kind of thing that's stopping you from getting past 100K a month is going to be making arbitrary, if this, then that beliefs, and allowing those to drive arbitrary, cyclical arbitrary decisions. And what I mean by that is you basically make up a belief, or not make up, but a belief gets implanted into your brain. And then as a result of that belief and you thinking that is the absolute truth, you go in a completely different direction. And I'll give you an example. I had a client message me the other day, and I won't, talk too deeply about who he is because, I don't want him to, it's like kind of rude to talk about clients' private stuff. But basically what he was saying was he wanted to change his pricing model completely because he felt like it was destroying his authority, destroying his status, and it was making his employees unmotivated because they weren't getting upside or there weren't any bonuses in place, which might be true. But basically what he said was, I know for a fact that the reason that we have a high churn rate and the reason that we've been not scaling is because our pricing model is wrong. It's lowering our status. It lowers our employees' motivation. I know, and he basically said, I think this is the case. And that was the actual word he used. He used the word think. And I remember that because what I said was, well, if you think something, it really, you can think anything. Where have you got this belief from? Because unless there's a number showing exactly what the fuck is going on, and unless there's actual feedback and surveys coming from the clients on some sort of offboarding call after they churn, you have no idea why they churned. You have no idea if they like a flat pricing, if they like retainer plus performance, if they like just performance, if they like percentage of spend. You have no idea what the hell is going on. And if you just think something and then you allow that thought, essentially, so what he said is, I think that this pricing model is leading to a high churn rate. That is basically the arbitrary belief that he's allowing to exist. So let's say you take that arbitrary belief and then you just continue. And then you allow that belief to continually drive your action. That is how you literally run in circles for a ridiculous amount of time. That is how you plateau. That is how you stay stuck. And the solution to that example specifically is, number one, if there's a problem, you need to figure out what is the actual source of that problem. What's not what I think is the real problem, what is the actual source? So if my churn rate's high, I need to do offboarding interviews. Ask these clients, why are they churning? If my employees are unmotivated, look into that. Is it a recruiting issue? Do they suck? Do they just have naturally low motivation? Is it a management problem? Is it something where the training's bad? Is it actually how they're paid? There's a million reasons that someone could be unmotivated. There's a million reasons that you could have a high churn rate. The worst thing you can do, like what I've said, is create a belief that is not backed by data and allow that to drive months and months of action and allow that to drive big decisions like changing your pricing model, because you can have a pricing model. It's not necessarily an easy thing to change. That's not like, it can be an overnight thing if you just sell it to new leads. But if you're going to change every single client to a new pricing model, that's kind of a big deal. And you do not want to do those sorts of things without a significant amount of data behind that. Because like I said, that's going to cost you months. And if you're thinking about months in the context of a business that's at 60K a month, you can easily see how two or three of these decisions can lead to years of lost momentum, years of lost progress, and insane opportunity cost in what you could have been doing if you were making the right decisions during that time period. Next, the second one is losing momentum and playing around with momentum and not thinking that it's a big deal. And this is one of the most killer things ever, man. Like the amount of times you see it where someone has a massive month, or they have their best month, or they sign their first couple of clients, they sign, they get a breakthrough and they uncover a strategy that's working for them on the client acquisition side. For example, they have a funnel that starts working, it starts booking calls, and then all of a sudden they're like, great, I'm out of here. And then they go on the biggest holiday of their life. It's not even like a lifestyle inflation thing, but another example is we've got a client right now just hit his first 100K month, and then I think he had a trip booked for a while, and then he had to go on the trip. It was like some of his old friends or something. And then all of a sudden you have to ask yourself, all right, of course he's got the trip booked. It's fine. Go enjoy your life and stuff like that. But if that's just when you hit a huge breakthrough, not only does a huge breakthrough usually lead to huge amounts of increased work, because if you sign a bunch of clients, you have a bunch of work on the back end, but it's also very fragile. So things that might have been working when you left for that trip, you have no idea if they're going to keep working. You have no idea if maybe some of those clients were bad clients, and all of a sudden you have to deal with that. But because you've booked this thing way out, it kind of becomes a headache and you don't know what's going to happen. Very, very fragile in terms of what's going on here. Very fragile. You cannot mess with this. I encourage you, if you have a breakthrough, treat that momentum very, very delicately. These things can go away just as soon as they come. And you only realize that after it slips away from you a couple of times and you had momentum, and then you lose it and you're like, oh my God, I wish I just canceled that trip. I know I had it booked. I wish I just canceled it. Or, even if you've got a little bit of micro momentum during the day, like let's say you're getting into a flow and you have a meeting with, whoever it may be, you might just, damn, I wish I had have just had the balls to message them and reschedule if it wasn't an important meeting. I wish I had just kept working. Or maybe you just went to the gym because that's when you had it scheduled. You said, oh yeah, I'm going to do 3 hours of work and then go to the gym. But then in the third hour, all of a sudden you're working really well, and then you go to the gym and you can't get back into flow. It's these things where you just kind of get caught doing something that you know is going to impact your ability to focus or your ability to stay locked in. And then you do it, and you falsely assume that you are just going to be easily able to get back into that same state, whether that be of focus or whether that be of momentum in general, when you get back from like a trip or something, and you naively think that you'll be able to get it back. But that's not the case. And I've seen that many times with myself, with clients, with others, people I know, friends, etc. So it's a massive, massive thing. Number three is the single biggest takeaway I want you to take from this video. It is the single most important thing that will be the difference between being stuck and getting to the next level. And that's procrastinating what you know you need to do. So damn important. Procrastinating what you know you need to do. The example for this one is I have a client. It's actually Oscar. I'll call Oscar out because he hit 83K a month about 3 months after finally doing the thing he was procrastinating. Because I know Oscar will admit this, because for years, maybe for a year, I was telling him, you need to go to paid acquisition, you need to go to paid ads, you need to go to paid ads. And all his friends were telling him this as well, another good mate of ours. And he just procrastinated it. It wasn't necessarily that there was anything in the way. There was some ops stuff, and there would always be a reason that would stop him from going. And they'd not necessarily be stupid reasons or anything. Like, it's not like a full, there was no reason not to do it. Like, yeah, you have ops stuff, you have hiring, you have whatever stuff you've got going on. But whatever the reason is that you give yourself to not do something that you know you kind of need to do, you have to just throw that out the window. You have to just throw that out the window. And I actually just recorded a reel about this on Instagram. But if there's something that you're procrastinating that you know you need to do, step one is just write it down. Get it out of your unconscious mind of procrastination and just write it down and admit the fact, like, I wonder why I'm procrastinating running paid ads, or I wonder why I'm procrastinating, doing that thing. Because the reality is, if you're going to get to this next level, you need to really take action fast. That's a big part of it. And if you're delaying something that's going to get you to the next level, the longer you delay that, how long could you have been getting results from that thing if you had just done it? Because now you look at Oscar. The reason I bring him up is because he was stuck for a while around, I think, 30 to 50K a month, and he retracted a little bit, had to restructure his team, went down a bit in revenue. Then as soon as he started doing that thing that he knew he had to do for like a year, he snapped up to 83K a month in like not even 3 months. So that's one of the biggest things where you just have to look at the thing in the face, write it down, admit it, and then just say, all right, I don't care. 1, 2, 3, I'm doing it. The same way that you would get in a cold shower or an ice bath or do anything you don't want to do. You just look at it, accept that you don't want to do it. 1, 2, 3, and then just do it anyway. And it's literally that simple. And the last thing, this is the boring one, but it still makes you money, is you have no tracking and no planning. And it kind of links in to that first example where you don't actually have data on your decisions and you kind of just allow your emotions to drive your decisions. And when you don't have any data, everything is just fight or flight. Everything is just going with your gut. Everything is just, I feel this, I think this. And the reality is, if you're going based on your feeling all the time for massive decisions, you are inherently going to be running around in circles. And running around in circles is what leads you to plateau and just getting essentially screwed over. So what you need to do is get a really clear idea of what is the problem that is preventing me from scaling to 100K a month. What is the problem that is preventing me from getting to X, Y, and Z? Okay, well, if I wanted to get to that, I would need to hire these 3 people. I would need a better account manager. I would need to fire that person because they actually suck. I would need a paid ad system, or I would need content that's more reliable because right now I rely on referrals, and I would need to book this many demos and my churn rate would need to drop this much. And that's what happens when you look at the data. You get a really clear idea of what you need to do. And then on the planning side, all you need to do is write down all those tasks and then divide them up over a month or a quarter or a week. And you say, all right, if I need to do all this stuff, I can break that down into smaller tasks. And that might be the 10 things I do that day to work on the business, or even the 5 things or the 3 things that I do to work on the business. Because it's not like you need to go and do 100 things a day. If you do 3 things a day working on the business, even if they're quick, over 90 days, you've done 270 things that are moving the business forward. 270. That's pretty good. I would take that. Even if you only have time for 3 things that you're doing on the business. If they're based off a data-driven decision and they're pre-planned and you know it's going to work, it doesn't matter how long it's going to take. Just do those 3 things a day and just plan that out. And with that, it just comes a sharpness and a professionalism where you're actually premeditating things. You're not going based off your gut. You're actually taking action that is going to get you to that next level. So those are the 4 things that you absolutely must do. Hopefully this was valuable, and let me know if this type of video is good for you and you like that style of content. I've been trying to not get blinded by the sun, but yeah, whatever you do, avoid these 4 things. You are going to be richer for it. So let's see. Try them out. See, let me know. Let me know if it works.